It's 1:01 p.m. February 21st for Building and Planning Committee special meeting, Board of Directors. Basically approval of agenda from page 1. I would like to change one item on the agenda if no one has any issues with it. I would like to move up item G to right after approval of minutes so that Greg and Steve can make their presentation and Mr. Martinez can get on about his normal business. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I don't have any objection to it.
I'm actually go out there to do the meeting, so.
Okay. That being the case, we'll do as such. Item C is public comment. We have anyone from the public who would wish to make a statement to the board not relevant to the current agenda?
Now, Fred, if
Sir.
I wanted to make a statement now, can I be public and a non-board member? I asked that before, and I think I got an answer.
Gene, I don't remember what Scott told us on that. You got to forgive me.
Okay, then forget what I asked.
Well, I won't forget it, but I promise whatever it is, we'll bring it up. How's that?
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
All right. You get approval of the minutes from the January 24th meeting as presented to us.
I'm fine with it. If you need a motion, I make a motion. We accept it.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, John. Okay, Catherine, your vote?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Mr. Parks?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. Mr. Davis, Mr. Martinez, floor is yours, sir.
So, we've talked at, the past few meetings about, the potential about expanding, some of our clinic services into Lake Isabella. I invited Dr. Martinez. It's Dr. Martinez from Kernville Union School District, for anyone that may not know Dr. Martinez. So, we're in this position where we may be able to have a partnership type agreement with Kernville Union School District, and it may benefit the hospital, may benefit the school district, and but what I haven't done a very good job at talking about is kind of like the mission that the school district has. So I thought it might be a good idea to invite Dr. Martinez so he can kind of tell us like what he has envisioned for the schools, and also I know that he's had some meetings recently with some for in regards to some funding. So that's all right. I'll just kind of let him say a few things.
So thank you for the opportunity and for adjusting your agenda to move me to the top. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So in our school district, we're moving more towards an all-encompassing wraparound type model. We're a school district, but we are not just educators anymore. We're having to do a lot more than just provide the basic breakfast, lunch, educate the kids. We're providing a lot of services, not just to the students, to their families. So we've been fortunate. We received some grants in the last year to expand what we offer. We have a community schools grant where it's a 5-year grant. We received about $3.5 million for that. We're also part of a community engagement initiative with the state of California. There's only there's 46 districts in California that are part of this community engagement initiative, and there's over 1,000 school districts in the state. So we're one of 46, and we're proud to be, working on that and to actively improve our parents, not just involvement, but engagement. And then most recently, we are part of this student behavioral health incentive program, which is a mental health statewide initiative. We're one of 9 districts in Kern County that received that. And we're really looking at our grand vision is to have an education center where we have our family resource center that's well established. We've had it since 1999. And we really are seeing the needs of our students and our families multiply, especially since COVID. So we're educating them. Some of our kids are at our school for, from 7:30 until 6. So it's a long day. So some of them eat their breakfast, their lunch, their supper, their snack, and they're there quite a bit. Our vision is to have this education center where we could provide resources that are education related, resources that relate to social services. Our family resource center, they receive a lot of referrals from Child Protective Services. So when they don't take them on, they get kicked on to us, and we're responsible for serving those families. And then the newer part is really expanding behavioral health, specifically mental health and physical health. And our approach is, of course, we're serving the students, but unless we get our families and we serve our families and our parents, you're kind of fighting a battle, while you have the kids at school and then when they go home. So we really want to have an all-encompassing center to address our health, our education, and our social needs. So that's kind of our grand vision that we're going for. Are there any questions or?
So I know we've talked about the possibility. We actually took a drive around, and I think I reported this to the board last time, where we looked at quite a few sites, and there's one site that we all felt may work well. It's right next to the thrift store along Lake Isabella Boulevard, and in that area, Dr. Ahmed has a couple properties. We own one of those lots. There's someone else. No, we only own one.
Sure.
Yeah. There's one. Unfortunately, it's right in between us, where there's someone named Kevin LeBanks that owns the property right in between there, unfortunately. But we thought that would be an ideal site for a potential clinic and family resource center, district office, and because we have so much that we can expand to. We can include dental services. Dental services are really poorly represented in the valley, especially for people with Medi-Cal. And we're just in the beginning of kind of talking about how what we could see happening. And I know there was another, so we would look at different models, but one could potentially be the district builds a building that would comply with our HCI 3, I guess it's now called, requirements for building. We could do like long-term lease, and then we have part of that property that we could use in negotiating that. But there's all kinds of different models. Potentially we could have like our own facility and adjacent to that. But bottom line is trying to bring everything together and working together. Mm-hmm. We've had a couple meetings now of some community service providers have kind of come together, and so we're trying to figure out what things we can do to expand services for the community, for students, because that for a student to succeed, they have to have a healthy family, they have to have all the resources that they need. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And didn't you say you told me last week there was some other grant or a co-op where there was some monies that were available?
So moving forward, we have I'm sorry. There's some different funding avenues that we're looking at. I know with the Student Behavioral Health Incentive Program, we're going to receive some funding for that. We don't know how much yet. We'll know in June. But the state is giving 9 school districts in Kern County, $13.5 million. So we don't know what our share is going to be. It's based on project and need and things like that. And we're looking at taking it away from the school, not on campus, because initially you would think put it on campus. But Wallace is a mile from the boulevard, and for some of our families, and we only have Dial-A-Ride up here now. That's not an easy place to get to. So we bus most of our students in into school. So we're really looking at a central location, and where we have the Family Resource Center and where it's going to next, it's really in a location where it's easily accessible for families. So we just want to be able to, serve families so that kids can be in school. We can strengthen our community in that respect.
Greg, this is Gene. Greg, what about the current building that the thrift store is in? And say buying the building that the lung doctor over there, I heard it was for sale. And we own that little lot next to it in between us and the thrift store, or that and the thrift store. And the second thing is the difference between mental health and physical health. Tim, is there a distinct line between the two? Do we have to have certain building between mental health?
No. No, I mean, they're obviously two separate specialties. There's no question. And, but like I said, in our clinic, we do mental health. Now we have providers that, practice via telemedicine and so forth. So you can certainly mix those functions within a building.
Historically,
Yeah.
there's been a problem of if you went to the doctor and basically you had some complaints that you thought you should see the doctor about, but really your diagnosis is depression or anxiety, that claim would get denied. That's been a problem for years and years. But all of the state and the payers have all realized that that's a big problem. So there's a new mindset. It's called any door, no wrong door. So if you come to a mental health provider and there's things that they can help you with, but it's really a physical diagnosis, they can still get reimbursed for those services, and the same thing for us on the mental side. So
Okay.
yeah, your question about Dr. Ahmed, yeah, he does. Tim's had conversations with them about that.
He is interested in selling, so
There's just this little island property that
which was new to us. That's like I said, we weren't aware of that. So okay. We could certainly reach out and find out if they might be interested in working with us, though.
Hey, Tim,
This is Mark Gordon. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer. Dr. Martinez, nice to meet you. I was wondering, usually with grants, there's always audits and checks and balances that are in place. Is there anything that the hospital can do or needs to do to be part of that, or to just provide support?
Right now, it depends on the grant. Look, so for the SB HIP grant, we're right now developing our plan and our milestones to send to the state, and there's not much reporting back on that one. We have some federal stimulus funds that we still have available, and so there's not too much that needs to be reported with that.
Okay, that answers it. Thank you.
Hey, Greg, I have a question. This might be for a Tim, Bob, and Greg question. So the level of services that we're trying to incorporate into the school district, do we need to have a completely separate facility away from the school district to make that happen? Or are we able to encompass it into one building?
it could be. I know our part at least has to comply with the old OSHPD 3 HCI. But it could be, it could be one center. In fact, we've even had some discussions where we're concerned about having multiple buildings all like linked together. And sometimes even just telling someone go to building A over there and they can help you out. Sometimes that's hard. So we'd like it to be all one thing. We could, if a building, met all the other requirements, you could even do it in a strip mall, part of your building, but your part has to comply. And that's
why I figured I would ask. I know Bob would have a better feel for that than any of us would. What do you believe, Bob?
Yeah, it's absolutely possible to have mixed uses. The area that is the health clinic that Greg would be over does have to be OSHPD 3 or HCI 3. The basic difference is starting at the bottom, the waist lines have to be in cast iron. The electrical in the patient care areas all has to be in EMT. The air conditioning systems have to have pre and post filtration, very similar to the hospital. And that's the majority of the differences right there. But I have worked on projects where it was a larger building, a multi-use building, and just one suite was built out to HCI 3.
Okay, thank you. Just that way, everyone knows all the challenges that we're all looking forward to. That's all.
You know, with, I think the last thing that I say that, I think I've brought up before is that, I kind of view this as this kind of perfect storm where a lot of things are all coming together, where the school district has this new, grant, this obligation that they've taken on, and they have requirements. We're trying to expand our clinical services and where most of our patients are, where more of our patients are, especially underserved, Medicaid patients are. We have our QIP program where, we're trying to, we have 6 different metrics that we're looking at, that we're trying to expand services there. And then even other agencies like, Kern Health Systems has the requirement for all of the CalAIM requirements. And a lot of these are all kind of, mirroring each other, and they're all kind of coming together. And, for us, building, if we were to just go and build a new building in Lake Isabel, it'd be very cost prohibitive, but this may be something that kind of would work for everyone, achieve good for, all the parties that are participating, but most importantly, the community.
Right.
I agree with you. I'm looking forward to see where this goes. I mean, I know some of the plans with Dr. Martinez and the school district, being able to encompass us in the middle of that is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
So is my understanding, I haven't researched it, but you have. So the space, the property between the existing auxiliary thrift store and that physician's office, that's 2 lots?
That's 2 lots.
Okay.
Yeah. And we own the one closest to the thrift store.
Okay.
But then there's this other one by this person. I've never heard of this other person. And then
He probably appreciates that we've been doing his weed abatement.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anything further, Dr. Davis? No, Steve, anything?
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. I appreciate you coming in very much. We all do. Good deal. Okay,
I'll just keep updating every month on where we're
please
at.
do. I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes because it's going to benefit the Valley greatly.
Absolutely.
Good deal. Okay.
Absolutely. Very good.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe.
All right. Nice seeing you. Trying to make it.
Page 4, project update, master plans, all yours, Bob.
Okay, so so as you see in the minutes, basically, we have no change. Our FEMA grant has been submitted. So it's in that process. We won't find the results out till August. And also, obviously, the plans are still in plan review. And so there's really no update on the master plan. On the 4D testing, we have all the ducks in a row. I actually have here for Tim to sign. This is the notice of start of construction for HCI. We will actually be starting on the week of the 6th of March with taking the samples for the 4D testing. And anyway, so that is ready to proceed. They've got all of their team together and they're pulling together everything they need. I have a little bit of minor work to do between now and then to clear out an area where where one of the samples has to be taken. And that is the status on 4D.
Okay.
And then on the new administration building, Tim, you can speak more to the meeting we're trying to get this week.
Yeah, and I talked about it briefly before the meeting started. And then the issue there is, like I said, we've sent the letter off to Mr. Lux, who is the director for Public Works. I spoke with his assistant this morning. And she had forwarded my letter on to Mr. Lux and to Joshua Champlin, who's the assistant director, who was also administratively responsible for the floodplain department. And so, and also Kevin Hamilton, who is the floodplain manager. So she's going to try to get them all together today to give us a date as to when we can meet. And so as soon as I have that, I will let everybody know so that we can make sure that we let others know that need to be there, especially our board supervisors, Bill Peters. And so we can all get down there and hopefully get this thing resolved quickly. So, and then get moving on that building. That's the only thing holding that thing up right now.
Well, Tim,
Yeah.
you know, it's been almost 3 years since we started the purchase of that building, right?
Don't know when we started. I can't remember.
Okay, well, look it up. It's almost 3 years. Bob, if you were working for me, I don't think you'd be working for me very long, taking that kind of the time. We could be benefiting from having that thing in service. What can we put a timeline on it to where we have somebody else come in and take it over if we can't do it? What would be the cost of flood proofing it?
Several $100,000.
Well, that might be better than banging our head against the wall, if that's what it is. I know it's been almost a year now since we found that out, that flood issue was a problem.
Gene, there's a much bigger picture here. If we don't get this thing to go away, when the master project is nearing completion, HCI is going to send it to local jurisdiction for their approval. And if they throw a big monkey wrench in and say, okay, the entire hospital has to be made flood proof, that would be in the tune of millions. So there's a much bigger picture here. We do need to put this to rest.
Okay, so if it doesn't get done, I mean, say you can't change their minds, what happens then?
We won't know until HCI sends the master project off to the county.
So we don't do anything with the new building until the hospital's status is completed or figured out?
No, obviously, like I say, we're trying to resolve the issue right now so that we can get moving on that building, because it's important for us in order to get that first phase moving, to get departments moved out of here and down there.
Okay, yes.
You know, and like I said, my understanding was that any of the work on the Oshpod project is under the state requirements and state review, which they use FEMA, which basically FEMA is saying that the hospital is not in a floodplain. So we've got some clarification that needs to be made there. But again, we're moving forward with the hospital piece as though it's not an issue for the hospital. It is right there down there now, and that's what we're trying to resolve. So
you're working on it.
Yes.
Let's
Okay.
just hope that we can get a meeting sooner than later and put this to bed. How's that?
Right, exactly.
That's the plan.
Okay. I appreciate it. Like I said, I spoke with Philip Peters personally over the weekend at Whiskey Flats, and he wants to partake if it works into his schedule. So let's hope it's soon.
Yeah.
All right, so the emergency generator, the plan is to have, as I stated here, have that back out to bid this week. I've had conversations with the engineers, and I just need a few hours to redo the proposal to go out to bid, and that should be done this week, so that we can hopefully get some better pricing on that project.
Okay.
Dietary water heater 2. Due to the CDPH survey, my project guy has been busy for about a week and a half on little odds and ends that needed to be done from the survey. So we did pressure test again this morning. We still have one leak. So we're working on that. As soon as we can get that one little leak resolved on a 2-inch 90-degree elbow, we should be able to schedule getting that started up. And then on AB 2511, I have some good news. I have it in writing from HCI that distinct part skilled nursing units, which are attached to an existing hospital and utilities fed from an existing hospital, are exempt from AB 2511. So anyway, so that's good news. I did also let them know, though, that as soon as our generator project is complete, we will be in compliance with all the requirements. The only difference between hospitals and the new requirement of AB 2511 is the difference between 72 hours of backup fuel and 96 hours of backup fuel. And we will be at the 96 once we have our new generator in. Actually, we have that already, but we don't have all systems on the generator that are supposed to be on the generator until that project is complete.
Is that diesel, Bob, or propane?
It is diesel. No, to my knowledge, nobody makes a emergency generator in the 1,000 kilowatt range that is propane.
Could we convert the generator? Okay, let me think. There ought to be some way converting to make it work, but never mind. You seem to have.
Hey, Gene, it's not that simple with diesel. With gas, it is. Diesel's not.
It is, yeah. It in theory could be done, but meeting the air pollution requirements would be probably challenging at best, doing a conversion, because the unit has to be built to be compliant with the clean air regs.
Yeah. Welcome to CARB.
Yes.
It would just be nice to have another backup system. That's all. Well, was my thought. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, we have a 10,000 gallon tank. We're in good shape.
Perfect. Any questions for Bob, team? John?
Once you get everything moved over onto the new generator, which runs off of diesel, then what's this gonna power?
The propane?
Yeah,
Oh, all of our heating and our hot water,
okay,
which is actually the majority of our usage.
okay.
Which is more cost effective anyhow.
Right.
Yeah, and it's getting very efficient now that we've replaced everything with super high efficient, 97% efficient heaters and boilers.
Good. Gene, do you have any questions for Bob?
Nope.
Miss Catherine?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Moving on to item F. Thank you, Bob, by the way. Invoice review and approval. Has everyone looked through the 4 invoices being submitted to us by Greenbow?
Bob, on the invoices,
Yeah.
they have paid, or we have paid them for most of what they're doing. And they're just doing new stuff is what some of the invoices are for, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the various invoices, one is on the dietary water heater. It's less than $2,000. The other one is on the there is one on the seismic retrofit, and it's substantial, but it is still monies that have been utilized this is covering the scope of work of taking the drawings from the first plan review and doing all of the corrections to submit back to HCI.
Okay.
Both the architect and the engineers.
Okay, now, in case something changes, things change. And say we had to change the project and we maybe did it in-house or did something smaller. At one point, I was told that we couldn't get the old records we paid for because they were the property of Greenbraw. Are what we're paying for, do we own those or they own them? Where if we want to use them for something different, we can't.
You're talking about the plans themselves.
Yes, I would have to double check with Michael on that before I just answer and say, usually once the project is complete, the plans become the property of the owner. But usually they are the property of the architect while it's, you know, if the project has not been. But now let's just say that, okay, let's just say that when it's not even referred to the master project, but let's just say you were gonna put in a new emergency generator, and then you decided that now we're going to do something different. We're going to put in a cogen plant or something that would provide the same power. Could the new engineer and architect utilize some information off the drawings? Yes, but he can't cut and paste. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, sort of, because it was a question, and it was definitely said that it was his property that we couldn't do it. That's prior to what he did prior to 17, because I wanted to see what we had paid for, and we couldn't produce anything we paid for. So that was one of my basic questions is, it looks like we could get a different grant that we had to do something totally different, but a lot of that work, you know, that they have done, we could reuse with if they went out of business and they weren't available if we had access to. Bob, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah. And anytime any of those issues come up, you know, everything can be negotiated. You know, especially if they were to like go out of business and go to work for somebody else. I'm sure that he would release the ownership of the drawings at that point.
But we've already paid them almost 100%, haven't we, of what we asked for? So the job's complete as far as he's concerned.
We're getting close. We have probably 2 more plan reviews with HCOT.
But the 1.2 million we gave them for the plans, I'm not talking about work going forward. We'd probably be tied down for the next 20 years. What I'm talking about is, when do we own the work we paid 1.2 million or whatever it was for?
When the work, to my understanding, without checking with him, when the work is complete.
Well, the work should be complete because he's got all of his money, I think.
Oh, he's talking about the construction.
I'm talking the construction work.
Well, why you mean we're tied to him if we like it or not?
Well, you don't want to start over because that would cost us another $1 million to start over with somebody else.
I'm not talking about our choice. I'm talking about if circumstances in the future throws us in a different direction.
Again, everything can be negotiated. Obviously, if things changed completely, like you're saying, you know, regulations changed, SB 1953 went away. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios where it could be changed to different requirements. You know, then we got to sit down and look at where we're going. I mean, I don't see us having an option where it's going to cost us a whole lot less money to get this building not only seismically compliant, but to fix all the old systems in the building. That's a lot of the work right there, is fixing the old air conditioning and the plumbing and all of those systems, the slow flowing drains and et cetera. You know, so yeah, anyway.
Okay, I don't know if that's part of this meeting or not, but the leak in the roof that it's taken us a year and we haven't found it yet.
No, we did.
I found it.
Yeah, it's been patched. That's been fixed.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Yes.
Hey, Gene, you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, if you look on page 9, where you were referring to the 1.2, looks like we've spent about almost 88% of that to them. So technically they've still got us for about another 12% of that number.
Yeah, I know. It's a little over 100,000. I know, but
I know. I just wanted you to throw where it was at.
Right.
Yeah, we have not overpaid them. The invoices for that amount of money is to cover the plans approved through HCOT. So even if we had 6 more plan reviews with HCI, they would be covered.
I understand. I only get back and look at this and go, damn, I'm in the long run of work.
Me too.
Okay. John, any questions for Bob on the invoices or anyone?
No, I don't have any, Fred, thank you though.
Ms. Catherine?
Yeah, I don't have any questions either.
Okay. Gene, any additional?
No.
Okay. I don't either. So thank you for that. Gene, you wanted to make a statement earlier and that you wanted to do it as a public, but I don't know where to put that. So I don't know what we can or cannot address. You got to forgive me.
No, I just asked, I did not want to make a statement. I just
Okay.
wanted to clarify if in the future I did, if I
Yeah.
could be public.
Well, let's find out together and we'll talk to Scott.
Okay,
All right.
Hey,
Thanks.
Fred, these
Sure.
invoices need a motion, so I'll make a motion to approve invoices 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, John. Do we got a second?
777%.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Thank you, Gene. Okay. Your vote, Ms. Catherine?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes,
John?
yes.
I'm yes.
And we'll need board signature. Should we just have John sign since he's here?
Please.
Okay.
Unless you want me to forward your name, Fred.
I don't mind. It's just a circle. Go for it. Just don't put too many circles and I'll know it's a forgery.
That's right.
But I don't have anything further on this. Anyone else have any statements or questions before we adjourn?
Fred,
Sure.
when are we going to be discussing the survey at the board meeting or?
Let's find out together. Ms. Heidi, is that normally where we should conduct business with the survey?
We've not in the past really gone over the surveys at the board meetings. If there's something that you guys want to discuss, that would certainly be a place to do it. But
Okay.
historically, it's not been something that we've had on the agenda.
I would want to discuss it at a board meeting.
You may have to do it in closed session if there's.
Okay, well, let's ask that question of Scott, Heidi, if you would for me.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Want it listed on the agenda for the 6th?
please. And let's get with Scott and see if we need to do it in closed session.
Okay.
Why?
Thank you.
Why?
Well, that's what
Okay.
we'll find out from Scott.
Well,
We'll let him
okay,
make that
then-
call so we know. I don't want to assume I'm not legal.
If Scott says it needs to be in closed session, can you notify before? Because I would like to talk to Scott if he says it needs to be in closed session.
I'm pretty sure it's not a closed session item, as long as there's not any like patient information as far as confidential information in there.
Well, that's what I was getting at. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
There was-
But I know
But
like
let's find out together.
public knowledge, so if people ask for copies of them, then they can see them.
Well, then, like I said, let's find that out together and we'll know how to address that properly. But I have no problem with that either an open or a closed. It's whatever's most convenient.
Okay.
We are here for the public. Okay, any other statements before we adjourn? No? All right. Well,
That
we'll
was-
adjourn at 1:40, guys.
That
Have a
was
great day,
fast.
everyone. Stay safe.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Sure.